I like standing up.
Hi guys. Hi everybody. Thank you all for coming. We were very nervous about the amount of people that would show up for this, and
I thought it'd be 10 people, and I was nervous about that.
All right, guys. So my name is Justin Brookert. I'm the managing director at Mondo. Up here with me is the rest of the not all of the Mondo creative team, but a lot of the Mondo creative team. We have Rob Jones, one of our co-founders and creative directors. Eric Garza, one of our creative directors. Jay Shaw, former Mondo artist and now Mondo creative director. And then a couple artists here with us. We have Mr. Tom Whalen and Mr. Jason Edmonston. Let's welcome them to the stage. To start out, how many of y'all are familiar with Mondo? I take it some of y'all are fans. Hey, very good. Cool.
How many are not familiar with Mondo?
Cool. Well, thanks for taking a risk on coming to this panel. We appreciate it. I kind of just want to start out a little bit talking about Mondo history and a little bit about who we are and what types of things that we do. So Rob, can you talk a little bit about how you first began working with Mondo back with Tim League in the Alamo Drafthouse back in early 2000s?
Long story short, Alamo Drafthouse, if you're not familiar with that, is an awesome theater. And back in the day, there was only one of them on Colorado Street in Austin, Texas, and it was just a lot of fun. And they used to have weird events, and Tim League asked me to do some posters for one. And later on, they were going to have a thing called the Rolling Road Show, where they would show movies in their original filming locations. So you'd see Poseidon Adventure on the Queen Mary, or Goldfinger at Fort Knox, which I can't believe actually happened. That sounds like a national security risk, but so he asked me to do a poster for that as an event, and I had some ideas that were terrible. And I was like, you know what I really want to do is have each movie get its own poster, like a gig poster. That's my background, was doing gig posters for bands. And he said, yeah, if you can make that work with the budget, sure. So I begged my gig poster friends to do posters for each of the movies, and it went pretty well, right?
Yeah, and now we're here. A lot of stuff happened in between. But yeah, so I mean, that was really like the origin of the idea. Like that hadn't existed before. The idea of contemporary artists really working on classic films or cult films and doing their own interpretations on it. That idea didn't exist until it popped into your head, right?
At the time there was some for when they would have live band accompaniment for like silent films. But just the idea of having artists going, hey, make it like a gig poster, be more creative with it. Don't feel you have to make like a traditional movie poster.
Yeah.
Make it untraditional.
Cool. And the idea being that you go to this event and you have something to return home and say, I went to this event, and commemorate it just like the gig poster. That just kind of didn't exist.
Like a memento for seeing a movie. Yeah, that's pretty awesome. Yeah.
That's cool. And kind of how did it evolve from there? What were the next steps to lead us to now talking in front of all these people?
Me going, hey man, let's make some more posters. And Tim Lee going, hey man, I'm trying to run this theater. Can you quit bothering me? And then eventually he was like, hey, I got this guy, Tim Doyle. He runs the t-shirt shop downstairs. Talk to him. If he's into it, that's fine by me. I called Tim up and I was like, hey, you want to make posters? He's like, yeah. I said, great, let's start tonight. And then it grew from there.
What would you say was like the evolutionary period of that? So like there was the early days of you just kind of doing it, getting with your gig poster friends, working with Tim Doyle. What would you say was the next step?
Next step was running out of gig poster friends. Tim left to pursue his own poster company, and then Tim League brought in Justin Ishmael, who was he was doing private events, I think, at the time. That was his gig, but he was interested in what Mondo Tees was doing. I said, great, I want to bring in this guy named Mitch Putnam, who is friends with people who don't make gig posters. And Mitch came in and kind of like raised the level a little bit, and we got a lot of artists who weren't from the gig poster scene, like Jason Edmonston, like Tom Whalen. And I don't know, just blew up again. It kind of just went to another more intense level.
Yeah, and can you talk a little bit about the transition from sort of the more like rogue poster days when we do things a little bit outside of, I'd say, studio legalities, to now where we're at, where we do things officially licensed and on the up and up and never have any issues.
I don't know how I talk about that, but if you insist. When it started off, it's kind of like gig posters in a way. Back in the late 90s, people were doing gig posters for bands. Bands thought as cool, it's just free advertising. Then gig posters started selling a lot, and bands were going, hey, we need to control this. This is getting kind of crazy. Kind of same thing with Mondo. We started off as just for screenings, fun events, and then the more popular it got, the more eyes got onto it, and we realized we need to start getting pretty legit, or we might have to quit, to quote MC Hammer. To paraphrase MC Hammer, that wasn't a good quote.
And then, Jay, before you ever started working for the company, how did you first become aware of Mondo as an entity?
Well, I was a big Mondo fan. God, I don't know how many years ago, a bazillion years ago. So I used to come down to Austin and go to Fantastic Fest. I'd come to a bunch of the Mondo events, like come from Colorado down to like screenings we'd do. I met Rob and Mitch and Ishmael at, I don't remember the screening.
I was probably drunk, I don't remember.
Yeah, but it might have been one of the mystery movies. It might have been the first mystery movie.
Oh, yeah.
That might have been
Akira?
Akira, yeah. Tyler. I think I met him there. Rob took me aside and said, I've seen the art you're doing. It's not that good. He let me know. And from there started a friendship that has lasted ever since.
But it had promise.
That's what it was. He said, you'll be okay one of these days. That was kind of...
No, because Mitch actually noticed Jay's stuff, and he kept pitching. He's like, hey, this guy. And I was like, and then he made a poster for The Spook That Sat by the Door, which is a favorite movie of mine. I was like, wow, this looks like it could come out back when the movie came out. This is on point. And we, first thing we signed you to was Sorcerer, right?
Yeah, that was Sorcerer. That never came out, but that was the
No,
first
we
one.
put it out
we
a couple years ago. No, I thought we did, didn't we?
We did Coming At You. 3D.
Yeah.
Coming At You 3D was the first poster I actually did.
No, Sorcerer we did.
Shout out to all the Coming At You 3D fans in the audience.
Yeah, big movie. I knew I was up to something. Yeah, and then Bullhead, and there were a whole bunch of them after that.
Oh, yeah, Bullhead. That was awesome.
But yeah, Coming At You, I remember Rob called me on a Friday and said, we need a screening poster by Monday. We got to have it. There's, the screening is like Tuesday, so
It goes like
get
that
this
a
to
lot.
happen.
Yeah.
That was fun.
And the Bullhead poster, I remember he did this incredible poster for the movie Bullhead. If you're not familiar with it, it's some crazy shit. But I was like, wow, where'd you get these photographs? He's like, I drew that. And I was like, whoa. And he was kind of like a go-to right away for this like incredible kind of Polish hyper-realistic style. And would we have, I didn't notice we were showing posters of, oh my God.
Yeah, check these out.
Yeah, so
There's a Rob Jones there on the right.
I know, I did the formatting, the Print Mafia, and John Smith. That was a collaboration. And Raising Arizona.
Yeah, so what you guys are seeing on screen are some examples of what you'll find in the Art of Mondo book, which is a look back at the first kind of 10 years of, our posters and everything.
Say, JB.
Yeah.
Why did it take so long for us to do a book?
Well, great question, Rob. Honestly, a book's a thing that, I've started with the company a little over like 6 years ago, and a book from like the very beginning was something that everyone kept asking us for. Our posters are limited, in quantity, and do tend to sell out really quickly, and so people want another way that they can, some laughs, people do want a way that they can still kind of collect and, honor this great artwork. And so the idea of a book was always brought up to us, and our answer was always just like, yeah, maybe one day. And the reason it was, yeah, maybe one day is the story of how this book got put together, which is basically that it's really, really hard to put a history book of all this artwork together for a multitude of reasons. One, not all artists are really good at keeping their old art files. It was a bit of a hunt for us to kind of go back and find original, files or to get scans of some of these posters. And so it was coordinating with a lot of different artists, but then it's also getting studio approval. So when we initially sign, licenses for, these properties, we don't include in there something saying like, hey, we may put this in a book in the future. So Tim Weish, who's our head of business and legal affairs, who's standing off to the side here somewhere. Yeah. Shout out to Tim Weish.
Stand up,
Tim put like tireless hours into kind of making sure that he could, that we had the rights to put all these posters out again in a book form and everything. So it was a big task, coordinating the licensing side of it, coordinating with all the artists, and then also just kind of curating the book down. Not every poster that we've ever done is in this book. Do you guys want to talk a little about, how we sort of did that, the process of it? It really was just kind of all of us on a couch looking at our website archive and saying, I really like that poster, and I don't like that poster as much anymore. And
that was a fun day. We just spent like maybe 2 work days just on the screen in the office, just like going through our archive and really narrowing down like, yeah, that one looks good, or maybe don't include that one. And it was a lot of back and forth and just a lot of discussion on what was going to make it in and what wasn't. We've released so many posters, even within the span of 10 years, that just picking was very, very difficult. But it was fun. It was a fun process.
Yeah,
Right.
it was sort of like the poster creator process for us all over again, where someone really loves something, really loves a take, and another one of us is not such a fan, and we have to kind of debate and figure out what type of company we're going to be. Are we only going to do this one type of product, or are we going to do a variety of stuff? And I think you'll see, as represented on screen, that we really have a big breadth of creative that we put out there. Things from cult and horror to more like classic and modern sci-fi. We kind of run the gamut. We all have very different tastes, and we work with a variety of different artists. So it's the book is as varied as all of our tastes are for sure.
Hey, Tom.
Yeah, Rob.
Talk about the first time you worked with Mondo. How'd it go?
I was well aware of Mondo at the time. I think we said it was 2010. You contacted me. Rob contacted me when you guys started doing the Star Wars and Star Trek license. So.
Oh yeah, it was Jabba the Hutt. Yeah.
And as I begin to talk about the first phone call with Rob, I see a sign in front of me that says, "Please be aware that many members of your audience may be under 18 years of age."
Oh, I don't have one of those signs in front of me.
Here,
Yeah,
I can show it to you.
So it started out, hey, it's Rob Jones from Mondo. Are you interested in doing a Star Wars and Star Trek poster? And from that, and I had been aware, and honestly, I had a note on my desk before he called that was a goal for the year, to reach out to you guys and contact you and be a part of what I saw going on. So once the business part was out of the way, it was probably an hour phone call, and I was like, what am I getting into? There was the highlights were your disdain of LA culture.
Sorry, LA people.
Your dad's work in a Coke plant in Georgia?
No, combos plant. I used to make combos in the summer. So if you
No,
enjoy
your dad.
Yeah, he
Did your
worked
dad
for
work?
the M&M Mars for combos.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah, I would go in there and work on the extruder machine. I'd have to collect all the bad combos to be recycled into new combos later. Whoops, that's a secret. But
Combos are those really terrible snacks that most people don't
they're
like.
a great snack. It's
They
the
don't make those
diesel of
anymore.
snacks. I'd come home every day smelling like the pizza dust we have to put inside. So all of you could benefit from the delicious taste of combos. Yeah, between two ovens, by the way. The oven that did the pre-cook and the oven that did the final cook, and I'm on a catwalk in between. But that's neither here nor there. Tell me, Tom, how's?
That's everything I remember from that hour-long conversation. But
Yeah, you cleaned it up very well. No cursing. Very good.
All right, thanks.
There's a lot more cursing than that when I was talking to Tom. Jason, how about you?
I was a casual fan of Mondo before I worked for them. I was kind of lightly aware of your stuff just from internet, picture collecting sites. And a lot of the artists were doing shows for Gallery 1988 at that time, kind of like this a crossover of gig poster artists and pop culture artists. And I was 10 years deep into an advertising career, drawing, fabric softener ads and chocolate bunnies for for Laura Secord in Canada. And I really wanted to get out of that market and get into pop culture art
Why?
because it was soul crushing, and I really wanted to do something that I was passionate about, monsters and science fiction and genre art and stuff like that. And I was always a fan of toys and movie posters and album cover art, and I grew up with that. And I was doing some horror art for Fright Rags, doing some T-shirt designs for them. And you guys became aware of my stuff through Ben Scrivens from Fright Rags, and he said, "Hey, how about using this guy?" And Ben and I are good friends, and that's something he would do, is introduce artists to other companies, not trying to keep them for himself. And I was friends with Gary Pullen and Justin Erickson, who are also Mondo artists.
Gary pulling over there in the corner. Gary, stand up.
Shout out foolish Gary Pullen.
So coincidentally, we all live in Toronto, the three of us, and we all worked for Fright Rags at some point, and we were all kind of talking about this new company, Mondo, and that they were starting to use more artists like us. So we were on board for all working for them, and then you guys actually reached out to me because you wanted to do a a gallery show at, coincidentally, Gallery 1988, a required reading show, which was based on well-known literature, and I did my first screen print for that gallery show. And
For Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
For Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
I wanted you to do Gravity's Rainbow, but you're like, what? And then I was like, fine.
And that went well enough that Rob said, how would you like to do a movie poster? And that snowballed like everybody else that works for Mondo, and work begets work.
Oh yeah, that crazy image. We also started a thing called Mondo Mystery Movie. And Justin actually wanted to do a huge one at the mall for Dawn of the Dead, and it was over the top. As you can see, Mr. Romero there blowing the brains out of a zombie live and in person.
Rest in peace.
God rest his soul.
Yeah, to get back a little bit into some of that Mondo history a bit, so it kind of evolved from there. We had the old shop that was inside the Alamo Draft House, and that's where a lot of, fans would come in, buy things, in between seeing movies. They'd buy T-shirts. We sold, like, old trading cards, just, like, random stuff. And we had this little red flat file that we would sell some of our event posters, just the leftovers from some of that stuff. And, that's when I started the company, and I would work in that shop and, just sell posters and,
And Japanese Kit Kats.
and Japanese Kit Kats and anything else
That
that
didn't go
Justin
over
Ishmael
well.
wanted us to kind of like sell in the shop at the time. And it was just very like easy to walk in and like open the drawer and find like a Kill Bill by Tyler Stout poster just sitting there that like people didn't want from the event like the week prior and stuff. And so it's kind of changed over time. That a lot of our culture was based on in-person events, and then a lot of it kind of transitioned to then online sales. And a large part of our fan base is global and international now, and we have a lot of fans throughout the world, and that only know us kind of through our website. But we still like to do things like the Mondo Mystery Movies and come out to San Diego Comic-Con, and we host our own event in Austin called MondoCon.
MondoCon, when's that?
Shout out to MondoCon. MondoCon is basically like a convention that's curated by Mondo, so it's a celebration of all the things we love: movie posters, music, food, beer, hanging with our good friends. And but the evolution really was kind of to bring it back to that in-person experience of like I went to a thing and I got this, and so that's why we do those sort of events and everything. But it evolved from there. We have a gallery in Austin where we do regularly curated exhibitions and host different events there, and like we said, come out to live events and stuff like that. So we still try to maintain those roots of being an in-person event place where you can come interact with us, talk to Rob, and you really get like a full experience. It's just kind of how we sort of evolved from there.
Say, Tom,
Yeah, Rob.
you've had a show at the gallery, right?
Yes,
Did it go well?
it went very well.
Did you like it?
I did.
Amazon,
Are
how
you
about you?
offering me
These
another
are
one right
such
now?
softball questions. This is the hard-hitting stuff you guys came for.
Hey, Tom, what do you hate about working with Mondo?
Better question.
Mitch isn't here, so I can talk about Mitch, right?
Please.
No. I honest to God, I really enjoy even those crazy deadlines that you alluded to before. Like, I need something over the weekend. The challenge of that.
I thought Jason was the Canadian. Come on, man. Just be...
That's it. That's all I'm giving you.
Jason, anything negative you can think of? Give the audience what they want. Dirt.
Just trash stories.
No, the only thing negative about you is that you call my house at 3 a.m.
That was once in a while.
All the time.
All the time.
At least I don't call you from the shower, so there you go.
Yeah.
You try to maximize your time. I had a brilliant idea. Hey, I got a cordless phone. I can just do candle business in the shower.
I can confirm. He's called me from the shower before.
Yeah, it doesn't really work out. People
Yeah,
can't
that
really hear you
happens a
over the
lot.
shower. Sounds like Rucker Hauer's calling from the top of the building when the rain's coming down. I think we've kind of covered a lot of stuff. Do you want to open up to Q&A or anything else you want to
We
talk
totally
about,
can.
Jimmy?
I was hoping to talk a little bit more like to some of the artists a little bit about like what the process behind like from their perspective creating a Mondo poster is, and then hear from both Eric and Rob a little bit about how the poster selection process goes a bit too.
Eric, what's the process?
The process is Rob calls you from the shower, and you. No, it's me, Rob, and Mitch really just kind of jumping on the phone and just brainstorming either ideas on licenses that we have or artists who presently aren't working on something who we want to assign on something, or even just an event that's coming up that we want to target. So a couple different factors on what goes into it, and it is just conversation. I spend a lot of time on the phone. All of us do with each other.
So does it typically start from we need to do a poster for X, or is it, hey, there's this artist we want to work with?
It's kind of both, you know. So when we find a new artist, that's usually Mitch's department. He really has kind of his eyes and ears open, looking for new talent, and he runs a poster blog called OMG Posters, where he just finds a lot of talent all over the internet that he kind of brings back to us and says, hey, I found this new guy or girl that they're really doing some amazing stuff. What could we do with them? And then we all brainstorm like, oh, they might do well for this property, or maybe we do on the opposite. We're like, hey, this could be a fresh take for X movie. So that's kind of the genesis of it, and then it's just reaching
That's
out.
a really clean version of it.
Yeah, well,
is there any arguing going on between you and Mitch?
I mean, there's always arguing, but I'm wading through. But yeah, it's really pretty straightforward. We try and keep our process pretty straightforward in all avenues. Like when we're working with the artist and when we're working with the studio, there's kind of a lot of factors to navigate through. So we want to make sure that everything is really clean and kind of pain-free and painless for everybody. So it's just like, hey,
But there's still pain. That UHF poster, that's another one that was like, hey, Rich Kelly, can you do this poster by Monday? Well, it's Saturday. Yeah.
But it is tough.
The other guy fell through.
Going through those waters between working with the artists and working with studios. Sometimes studios are very easy to work with. Sometimes they can be a little bit,
Not easy.
Not so much. So it's trying to just make it as easygoing and straightforward as possible, because we don't want headaches, the artist doesn't want headaches, and the studio doesn't want headaches. And thankfully, we're in a place where the studio kind of gets like what we do, and they understand like how we operate and what the value is in Mondo artwork and Mondo posters, that they kind of let us do what we want to do within restrictions that they might have, whether legal or what have you. But no, it's actually a pretty simple process.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good example right there. Like, they let us do a Darth Vader poster with tiny cowboys operating his head.
But
Who else is going to do that? Mondo, that's it.
So,
But it's awesome. Like my first year with the company in 2011, that was kind of the year that I think the Motion Picture Academy started archiving our posters, which is just bonkers to me. I think we're the only company outside of the Hollywood kind of studio system whose artwork that they archive in that way.
Yeah.
oh, you guys like those posters? Oh, wow.
So
Those are
that's bananas. Is that we're just three a company of movie lovers that are just working with rad artists who we love and appreciate on movies that we love and appreciate, and it's kind of getting recognized to an extent and kind of archived as actual film history, which is just crazy.
So step one is obviously we pick an artist. Mitch curates, you guys assign, you send out the email, Rob calls an artist at 3 a.m. Both Jay, Tom, and Jason, can you talk a little bit about how you guys then do your first approach to how you take a movie and then translate it into an image?
Oh, wow. Yeah, we're all going to be really different here. I assure you. My stuff is usually weird, not as popular as your guys. I usually take a little left field approach to things. So a lot of times, actually half the time, honestly, I'll kind of come up with something and say, hey guys, I've got an idea for a movie. I don't know if we have the license or can we do it or something. Or there may be something like an indie film that's a little more challenging that not every artist really wants to dive into. We haven't seen the movie yet, things like that. So Eric and Rob and Mitch will say, Jay, you want to take a crack at it? And I'll usually go for it because you guys, you don't want a Star Wars poster from me. That's not a good scene.
Jay's the best example of an artist to tackle a subject like that because his work emulates that Polish movie poster from the 70s
And
60s, 70s,
yeah. And those posters were heavily often made without seeing the movie, with knowing little about
Right.
the movie. So you're using the same brainwaves as those artists and
or lack
creating
thereof,
something-
but yeah.
and creating something with the same vibrance of
And kind of-
and-
Something you've never seen before.
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand why you'd say we want to see a Star Wars poster, because, like, for example, your RoboCop poster is, like, unlike any RoboCop poster I've ever seen, and just gorgeous.
Kind of
And-
speaking to that too, that's also one of the questions that we kind of ask ourselves whenever we're kind of talking about which artists we should do what, is well, do we have likeness available? Can we do something that's straight an illustration from the scene, or is it going to be more thematic in nature? And thankfully Jay is a genius in that regard, that he has a brain for just themes and imagery, where he can sum up a movie with just a single striking image and doesn't have to rely on like a plaster of art or talent faces all over the the poster. Not that that's a crutch for anyone else, but Jay's.
Yeah, Jason. What about
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Come on.
Look at that guy on the end.
And that speaks to my strengths. The concept is sometimes non-existent, but I'm a renderer. Jay's an idea man. So you got to speak to your strengths. Sometimes people are equally talented in both design and concept and rendering.
Well, also the mood you'll create too. I mean,
Yeah.
you're like a master of lighting too, so you can make something seem super creepy.
Oh,
That's
thank
yeah, like that poster you want to do for Terms of Endearment. No. Just flip, getting that tie. You should have already had the tie flip, you jerk. Anyway,
But the secret and the genius, I think, of the creative force behind Mondo is creating the right connection with artist and subject matter. And sometimes the artist knows what is best for them as well.
but I also sometimes you want to see like, what would happen if?
Yeah?
Yeah, and that sometimes yields some amazing results. Sometimes it's like, ooh.
What's a
but-
good example of kind of a what would happen if?
We buy your kids White Men Can't Jump.
Oh, very good. I like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Starter for 10 right there.
Tom, you want to speak a little bit about
Hey,
the
Tom.
process? Yeah.
So my process usually, I've carved out a niche of animated posters. So I usually get those animated jobs from Mondo, which is great. I find the ones that come down the pike that I have not seen or have not seen recently usually yield some more interesting results for me. Because the Samurai Jack, I had not watched season 5 of Samurai Jack. So that forced me to dive in and not rely on nostalgia to put that poster together. So I felt it was fresher in my mind. Typically, most of the stuff that comes to me is stuff I've seen a million times. But like I said, the stuff that's fresher that I have to re-dive into or watch for the first time is.
Which do you prefer? The challenge is something new,
I
or the
like-
crutch is something that you love?
I like to go back and forth. Too diplomatic, I know, but I like the rhythm of going back and forth.
Jason, can you seriously get him an official Canadian patch? Mr. Nice.
Honorary Canadian.
All right. You guys want to take some questions? Yeah?
Sounds
Yeah.
good.
Go ahead.
Thanks. Thank you all for being here. I actually, my question was about how Mondo's gotten into the soundtrack universe, because you guys have done some absolutely amazing soundtrack releases, right down to the Carpenter's Halloween, to the Jaws double LP coming out this fall. So could you talk a little bit more about that, please?
Rob, do you want to talk about the first soundtrack we ever worked on?
Oh, Maniac?
Yeah.
Soundtracks are weird. I was looking up Bruce Lee soundtracks, and I was like, wow, these are really expensive. Why aren't they repressing this stuff? And I do a lot of work for Third Man Records, which is a record pressing place in Nashville, Tennessee. And I called the guy there. I was like, hey, y'all should be getting to soundtracks. And he went, hey, we got a lot of this stuff we got to do, so thanks, but, F off. And it dawned on me. I was like, oh, wait, that'd be good for us. It's movies and stuff. Why not? And I called up Justin and Mitch, and uncharacteristically, they both wildly agreed that was a good idea, which doesn't happen much for me. So we pursued it, and the first thing we found out is it's really hard to secure rights for soundtracks when you've never done it before.
Yeah, it was really like relearning a new industry again. In the same way that we had kind of had to forge our own ground with the poster scene, and kind of had to go out to studios and tell them like, hey, we want to draw new art and sell it, and people buy it. We hope. We had to do that with the records as well. Go out and say like, hey, we'd like to repress this soundtrack, and there's a ton of them that are just sitting in like dollar bins at record stores all across the country. But we want to do a remaster issue of it and give it a deluxe treatment and really shine light on this property again. And really focus on like the artistry of the film and the music, and so it was really just like posters all over again, having to just kind of
Figure it out
figure out how to get rights and everything. And so we were just kind of doing it as like a part-time thing, doing a couple every now and then. And then Moshe Fiek, who's our co-label manager, along with Spencer Hickman, he just kind of started taking it under his wing, and he started pursuing more and more records. And we just got built more and more relationships, and it just kind of becomes easier over time, being able to point to other successes that you've had, saying like, yeah, we got to release Jurassic Park, and we sold 8,000 units, and we were able to do really great with that.
Brag, why don't you? Jesus.
Yeah, we sold a lot of units, and can we do Back to the Future now? And it's like, yeah, of course. So it's just kind of, it's an evolution over time, and it's just kind of growing successes upon one another.
One thing we had to learn early on, and it took a long time, is when we first started doing records, like, oh, we got all these incredible ideas. Hey, for Looper, Jay, what do you want to do? Well, how about we make a sack and it'll be actually like it's black? Well, that sounds awesome. Let's see if we can figure that out. Oh, it's a year later. How much does this cost? Oh my God. Don't worry, people will come. We'll make up for it in the price. Oh God, no. So you have to you have these big ideas, but you have to learn how to make them work within, because it's kind of some slim profits for
Don't put
records.
Iron Giant in metal.
Yeah. Oh Lord.
As Jason alluded to, Jay's a great ideas man, and sometimes you also need good numbers man too, as like a balance. But we try to balance the two. Make great products, but also make.
But it did
money.
look great.
It's an incredible release. Yeah, good question. Next.
I was lucky enough to attend MondoCon 1 and then 3. Is there any chance like the goofiness, like the record toss that we did in MondoCon 1, is coming back now that you have a new venue?
This is probably the suggestion we get from Rob the most, is we need to do more goofy
I
games.
like throwing records at things. It's
I like
awesome.
throwing records at things too. It was awesome.
If you were throwing like a long distance, and
Yeah.
you do it really hard,
You were
you'll
knocking
flip
heads off
in midair.
zombies.
It's great.
You were knocking heads off zombies. It was great.
I'm
So I
not
was-
kidding. Last week we were just talking about we were starting to get into
Yeah.
programming for MondoCon, and Rob was like, "Is there a movie that we can throw records for again?" And it's something that we talk about often. And
Yeah, that stuff's fun. At MondoCon we like to have fun and stuff like that. We've talked about like all sorts of crazy ideas. We've talked about just turning it into like a full-on like Mondo Carnival where there's like a dunking booth and you get to dunk us, and like ring toss games. But it's like, or like I really want to do this. Rob's gonna be offended by this. You guys know the game where you shoot the clown who's like has a bald head? Anyway, I want to do that, but with Rob.
I'd love that. That'd be great. Representation of me, yeah.
Yeah, just carnival games like that. We've talked about stuff like that, but yeah, we like to have fun. So I'm glad to hear people are interested in that. We'll get to brainstorming on something.
We wanted to have a
stupid you can do
MondoCon
there.
mascot,
We still
but
might.
the numbers man said no way. $5,000 for a giant robot was too much, apparently.
Yeah.
We'll work on it.
We'll work on it. Thanks. Yeah. Next question.
No, JB's like, just dream a little smaller, man. Come on, make it work.
Hey guys, longtime fan. Wondering if over the 10 years there's a poster that has just stuck with you, has been like, this was really cool that we got to do, but then also on the flip side, one that you're like, I was never a big fan of this, but everybody else decided to print it, and we're just gonna go with it.
Wait, what?
Anyone want to take this? It's like some things that really stuck with you, like favorites, and then also things that like you look back on and you're like, maybe we should have done a different approach on that or something.
How about just go down and say what your favorite Mondo poster of all time is, if you have one. For me, it would be Maniac by Ken Taylor. That's mainly because if you haven't seen it, don't. It's really crazy. Give you some. But it's got Joe Spinell, who's like one of my favorite actors of all time. Like someone I've tried to watch every movie he's ever been in, because I wish I could have hung out with that guy on 42nd Street watching bad movies at midnight. But Ken just really caught a beautiful image of him, just made him seem sad and dangerous at the same time. JB, how about you? Jurassic Park, am I guessing?
No. Actually, my favorite Mondo poster of all time is the first Mondo poster I ever saw, actually. I was in college, and I frequented like a lot of the movie sites at the time, like Ain't It Cool News and things like that. And I was on one of them, I think it was Ain't It Cool, and I saw that in Austin, Texas, I was living in New Orleans at the time. In Austin, Texas, there was this movie theater that was doing a screening of the Royal Tenenbaums on Father's Day, and they called it Bad Dads, screening, and it was a Daniel Danger poster. And this artist had done a rendering of the scene where Richie and Margot run away to the Natural History Museum, and they're hiding there. And that scene in the movie is based on a book that was a favorite children's book of mine as a kid, and it just kind of blew me away that there was like a company selling a piece of like beautiful artwork that was based on a movie that I loved, that featured a scene that I loved about a book that I loved, and it was just so specific that it just really like struck me. And I was like, I got to find more about this company, and that's just kind of how I found out about Mondo, and just kind of snowballed from there. Yeah.
That's a good example, too, because most people, you go, hey, we're making a Royal Tenenbaums poster, like, oh, I want to do the house. You're like, oh, like everybody else. And Daniel came up with that great like scene you wouldn't expect to be on a poster, but it works so well.
Yeah, it was that specificity, is that it wasn't just like the actor's head sitting on a poster or anything like that. It was that it was a very specific, take on the property. So yeah, that's mine.
E?
My favorite is definitely Martin Anson's Bride of Frankenstein. That's a really special one to me. I love just it's so beautiful. His illustration style and the way it's just perfect in every way. As far as the other part of the question about like what kind of blew you away on getting to actually produce. Getting to work with Drew Struzan and doing a screen print version of his Thing poster, his like iconic Thing artwork, and just all the kind of production that went into that, and working to actually separate that painting to make it possible for screen print, and seeing everything that went into that process, and that just kind of took my breath away. And it's like, wow, this is pretty special, and that was kind of something that was important to me.
Jay?
I've got a favorite Mondo poster. It might be in the book, actually.
Yeah, I have a guess. What is it?
Is it? All right, cool. So, a million years ago, there's a Invasion of the Body Snatchers 1978 poster by the Heads of State. It's incredible. It's my favorite Mondo poster. It's one of my favorite movie posters of all time. It's really simple. It's just a duplicated face, but it is incredible. I've got it up in my office. That's my favorite by far. Trying to think if there's anything that like kind of blew me away that we got to work on. I mean, everything does. It's all pretty incredible. I'll be honest, as an artist, when I got to do that RoboCop poster, I think that was the one that I kind of stepped back for a second and I went, oh, wow, this is a ridiculous career. Like, I love this. I can't believe I'm getting to make a Polish RoboCop poster. And it's actually, it's in Polish language. I mean, this is silly.
Like, let us do that, yeah.
I called it Superglina. I mean, that's not even the name of the movie. And somehow the people that made RoboCop were like, that's fine, you can do that.
Wait, what does Superglina actually translate to from Polish?
I forget exactly. It's something.
Robot law enforcement man or something?
No, it's something like strong murder robot. It's awesome. I mean, it's really good.
That's the name of my dog. What a coincidence.
Yeah, it's cool. I liked it.
Tom?
I think the easy answer would be, the first thing that popped in my head was the Ali Moss Star Wars trilogy, because every time I see them, they make me so angry that they work so well. But thinking a little deeper, I think Laurent's Psycho poster, where the stair rail splits the form into the Norman and his mom. I think that's my favorite.
That is not the answer I would expect. That's
Well,
weird. Jason?
I'm trying to give you something. I'm trying to throw you some kind of curveball.
Yeah. Jason, you can't say one of your own posters. What is it?
He's not necessarily my favorite artist. I like a lot of his stuff, but my favorite overall Mondo poster is the Stout RoboCop, because when I first discovered Mondo, that stood out to me as the most movie poster that I had seen, because it wasn't referencing another style of movie poster from any genre. It was kind of this. It reminded me of those marker. It was like a black line poster, and they had glow-in-the-dark markers that you color. You know, from the 80s.
You can buy a Kmart, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And it just seemed like this is cool that somebody's going out of the box, making a movie poster that's kind of a hodgepodge of all these different angles, and it's not really a strong composition in the traditional sense, but it's still so striking, and it says Mondo to me more than any poster style that, just because I think there was the first exposure to that. So that was like, I want to do something with this company because they're taking chances.
Yeah, and featuring everybody you love for the movie except one person, unfortunately. Yeah, that was pretty great. I guess next question.
Yeah, another question? Thank you.
Hi. I love the fact that you guys are now making the jump into collectibles. Like, I'm seeing you guys are doing tiki mugs now. You're doing bad balls. What's next?
You mean Mondoids?
Yeah, those are called Mondoids.
What's next? So you guys may have seen our board game for The Thing that's coming out. Jay, you want to talk a little about what's next for that?
Yeah, I mean, that's the next thing. See, we've been doing this ever since we started on that. We keep saying the word thing over and over again about the thing. It's the most frustrating. I wish it was called something else. If it was called the Alien or whatever, it would be much better. But yeah, so we've made a board game for John Carpenter's The Thing. It's finished. It's in production. It'll be out this year, and so we're going to do a lot more in the board game space, because as we got into that, We fell in love with it. It's crazy. We didn't know what a cool world that is, and what all goes into it, and it's really neat. So we're gonna do a lot more board games. So I think that's really the next big jump for us.
Really, it's all everything we kind of sprung off on that you guys have talked about, whether it be in like when we got into soundtracks, posters to begin with, board games. It really just all comes from our interest, like what people in the company are really into. We're all very very different, very varied, and we just kind of encourage each other to pursue things that you're interested in. So if it's like saying, hey, what if we did a board game for the thing? Jay brought that to us, 2+ years ago or whenever it was, we were like, yes, let's do that. Let's figure out how to do that. We don't know how to make a board game. We had no clue, but we knew we wanted to do it, and so we just try to pursue things that are within our interest and that we feel fits within the theme of Mondo, because we're just trying to be fans that get to do cool stuff, and we're lucky that we get to.
Like the Jurassic Park.
Fidget spinners, that's next. We'll do that.
Next
Thank
question?
you. Thank you.
Cool. I have.
Not sure.
Oh, thank you very much. Can you guys speak a little bit to picking which movies you're going to do posters for, specifically when they're new ones? I think an example of that was Jay's Get Out poster, which was fantastic. So
thanks.
Well, that was kind of weird how that happened.
that actually was a fun one. Eric, do you want to tell that story?
Yeah, so specifically for Get Out, that was something that just late one night, Jordan Peele, or Francesco Francavilla, he went and saw the movie, and he just did a quick illustration. Usually when he sees something that he's just inspired by, he'll go home and do a quick little, spot illustration, and he did that with Get Out. He was blown away, he loved it, and then he posted it on Twitter and Instagram, and then Jordan Peele saw it, and then Jordan Peele said, hey, this is great. Is Mondo going to put a poster out of it? And then Francesco kind of made that connection with us and Jordan Peele.
It was 10:30 at night, and and Melrose, who runs our marketing and social media, was like, oh my God, Jordan Peele, thank you, shout out Melrose. If you've ever been responded to on Twitter or treated nicely on there, it's because of her. But she was like, oh my God, Jordan Peele just said that he wants to do a Mondo poster. What do we do? And it's late at night, and we're like, I don't know, just say we want to do a poster, and so they just started, we started DMing with him, and he was like, cool, just let me know what we need to do to make it happen. And sometimes it's as easy as that. Not often do you just engage with the creator.
That one's a rare
one.
A lot. Sometimes we do just get enthusiasm and excitement from the filmmakers. It happened with Edgar recently for Baby Driver as well, and they basically just say let me know what I can do to help, and we're blown away.
It's nice when filmmakers are fans, of our stuff. It's cool.
But otherwise, it is kind of just like Justin was just saying a few minutes ago. It's like, what are we excited about, and what are we passionate about? Because we're fans also. We're all huge movie lovers and video game lovers and board game lovers and all that. So it's what are we excited about, and what do we want to try and do something for? And we have. We're lucky to have these connections to studios, either from past relationships or past projects, that it's just like an email and say, hey, we're really excited about this movie. Is there anything we can do for that? And it's just kind of snowballs from there. And sometimes it's yes, sometimes it's no.
And sometimes it's generated through the studio too, as well, where they'll reach out to us.
I really wanted to do something for Logan, but it's just not in the cards. Just legally, there's some weirdness there. But that's why sometimes we see stuff online of oh, why didn't you do this movie or that movie? And believe me, we try. If you guys are excited about it, chances are we're excited about it. We have very similar interests, I'm sure. So
yeah, if you're why do they hate my favorite movie? It's we don't. We want to do something for it. We will, hopefully one day.
Yeah. So, but it is just when it comes to new movies, it's just shooting an email or trying to get on a phone call with someone you've worked for in the past and asking, hey, can we do this? And sometimes we're lucky enough for them to say yes.
And a lot of times it's just seeing the movie. I mean, with Get Out, we got to see a staff screening early.
Pretty early, yeah.
Alamo Drafthouse is our sister company, so we get to see staff screenings sometimes before the film comes out. We all went and we left and we were like, that was incredible. Oh my God. And by the time I got to the lobby, I had the poster in mind. And I was like, I got it. I got the poster. Oh, we need to do a poster. So when Jordan hit us up on Twitter, I was like, hey, guys, please let me do one. I have to do one. This is important. So.
Any other questions? Last chance.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of going to get back to a little bit. So a little bit about the book.
Full circle.
Yeah, full circle. Thank you. A little bit about the book. So it's currently for pre-order. We are on the Amazon Top 100 list this week. So thank you guys for everyone that pre-ordered it.
The top 40 list.
It's also going to be available in local bookstores around you. Please contact your local stores. Ask them to please carry it. But yeah, it's great. It's 350 plus pages full of beautiful art like you guys have seen here on screen. In addition to the artwork that's on display, there's some words written by some of the people that are up here. We had a beautiful introduction that was written by Brad Bird, a filmmaker that we love and work with a lot. And when we got that introduction in, we all nearly broke down and cried because it was just so beautiful and moving. And so we're very thankful for Brad for doing that. We kind of go through a little bit of the history that we covered here with you. But we're really proud of it. We're really super happy. Like I said, this is a thing we've been wanting to do for years. So we really want to put the time and the quality into it that we hope that you'll be proud of. I think I see a question about the book. Yep.
I was going to say, why don't you expand to doing TV shows?
To do TV shows? Oh, we do occasionally reach into the TV market. In addition to movies, we do TV shows, we do comic book stuff. We'll do video game stuff as well. We have kind of expanded into that. It's a little different. It's different licensing typically for that sort of thing. But we love TV stuff.
Yeah.
We're living in the golden age of television right now, so I feel like there's plenty that's right for that sort of thing.
We've done a lot of Hannibal stuff last couple years ago. We had one for The Flash.
For the Game of Thrones gallery show.
Yeah.
Good lord.
So yeah, any TV shows you guys want us to tackle? We'll take suggestions right now.
Twin Peaks.
Twin Peaks.
We actually
Love
did
to.
try very hard. But here's the problem.
Easy.
I'm not going to say the problem. You can probably very, very picky.
Yeah. But we totally open for TV shows, definitely. Yeah. But yeah, like I said, the book's going to be available later this year. So please pre-order it, please check it out, and we'll be showing off a little bit more of it, in the coming weeks. So follow us on social media and everything.